Welcome back to another action-packed episode of East Coast Pro Wrestling here on Seaside Communications. We take you to the ring, and our ring announcer, John Patterson. And you can expect to hear a hush Paul come over the exhibition grounds here in North Sydney as Kilgrave making his return to East Coast Pro Wrestling, and he has perhaps been conspicuous by his absence in the most recent months in 2019, but perhaps the fans not welcoming the return of Kilgrave, and perhaps his opponent even more so intimidated by the big presence that is about to grace the Cape Breton exhibition grounds. A tremendous crowd on hand here as the backdrop of the Farmers exhibition will see some of the best professional wrestling in Canada as Kilgrave makes his way, a big red menace on the wrestling scene here in Atlantic, Canada, and getting the expected response, and it is not a positive one here from the fans in North Sydney. We've got some great ECPW action here for you on Seaside Communications. And again, reminding you, this coming October 11th, the Autumn Aggression Tour 2019 hits Reserve Minds, featuring former WWE superstar Carlito. So you're going to want to see Carlito in action. Again, that's October 11th at the Reserve Minds Fire Hall. ECPW returns to the Fire Hall. It was actually a great venue for ECPW action this past spring, and look forward to returning to Reserve Minds. And my family has roots there, so I enjoy calling the matches there. But we've got some great action for you here in North Sydney, the true heart of professional wrestling here in Cape Breton. And Kilgrave would love nothing more than to rip the heart out of his opponent tonight. And I won't spoil it for you, but he's one of the more popular competitors here in ECPW. And our esteemed ring announcer, John Patterson, will be introducing him to this great crowd here in North Sydney momentarily. Beautiful new ring here in ECPW, and can barely contain all the action we've seen recently. And the roar of the crowd brings out Dynamite Dylan Davis to the familiar strains of the Fables. And you can see the kids dancing at ringside. And Dynamite Dylan Davis, wherever he goes in Atlantic Canada, is always guaranteed to get a tremendous response. And he's looking to get back on track. As you may recall, the last time we saw Dynamite Dylan Davis on East Coast Pro Wrestling here on Seaside Communications, he was challenging for the Celtic Roots Championship, a match he earned with some fine performances in 2019, but unfortunately for Dylan Davis, he came up short in that matchup due to some nefarious tactics from the Celtic Roots champion, Lincoln Steen. Of course, we would expect nothing less of Lincoln Steen to resort to such manners to retain his title. And we can see Dylan Davis dancing it up with all the fans at ringside. And sometimes you wonder if he's not burning out all his energy with the youngsters at ringside. But Dylan Davis, one of the top competitors here in ECPW for sure. This should be a great matchup, and Dylan Davis perhaps not used to giving up as much size as you'll see in this match against Kilgrave, and certainly anytime Kilgrave steps in between the ropes, he usually has a size advantage over his opponent. But if there's one thing that Dylan Davis has, is takes the official for a twirl, and he may be too dizzy to count the three as this match gets ready to get underway. One thing that Dynamite Dylan Davis has in his favor will be the crowd, and he'll certainly rely on the support of the fans here in North Sydney as we get set for a great half hour or so of East Coast Pro Wrestling. As Dynamite Dylan Davis attired in jeans and Kilgrave in his trademark mysterious red outfit, I guess we can say. We still don't know a lot about Kilgrave's background, despite all the times he has graced us with his presence, if we can use that term here in East Coast Pro Wrestling. As we get started with this action-packed episode, Dylan Davis trying to curry favor with the fans here, and he doesn't have to work hard to do that. As I said, he's one of the more popular competitors anywhere he goes in this great country of ours, especially this region, and going to work with some body blows. And there we see that size discrepancy as Kilgrave toying with Dylan Davis here in the early going, and perhaps we'll see Dylan Davis maybe try to work on a limb. And in the early part of this match, the attack centered on the body center, I guess we can say, of Kilgrave, as Dylan Davis will try to take the big man down, but that's easier said than done. Duck of a clothesline, kick to the leg, and there we see going to work on one of the extremities, but once again, Kilgrave using that muscular frame and a series of body blows of his own, then whip to the opposite corner. And Kilgrave fairly agile for a big man, as you see there, but perhaps too fast for himself. Countering a clothesline, but again, Kilgrave not one to be knocked off his feet easily. Another clothesline, Kilgrave still standing up, and Dylan Davis trying to summon the power of the fans here. Duck of another clothesline. Drop kick sends Kilgrave all the way to the outside. And outside of the ring, but still standing on his feet. As the official administering the 10 count, he's on top of it. Now Dylan Davis, was tempting to go through the middle of the rope, but decided better of it. And now Kilgrave ducks the attack. And this is a place Dylan Davis does not want to be, as he's slammed into the post. Caught in that powerful bear hug of Kilgrave, and now we see some powerful overhead forearms from the big man in the red suit. Kilgrave smashing Dylan Davis's head off the apron, the hardest part of the ring, as you know. And Dylan Davis tossed back into the ring, and finding there's no escape from this big red monster he finds himself in the ring with. And again, we've talked about Dylan Davis being in the title conversation here in ECPW, and certainly a victory over Kilgrave would vault him right back into that. No doubt the championship committee would be impressed, as Kilgrave, a more than capable competitor, but he's in control of this matchup right now, using all of his weight. The leg coming down on Dylan Davis, and the momentum of the rope coming up across the throat of Dylan Davis, and you can see he's clutching the throat now, a 2 count, and perhaps a bit of a lax cover there by Kilgrave, and a lot of raw power, but perhaps not the best fundamentals from this unorthodox wrestler. Perhaps just looking to test Dylan Davis here in the early going to see what he has, and now establishing a strong grip on the neck of Dylan Davis, and perhaps this is a defiant strategy of Kilgrave, as we saw him use the ropes on the neck of Dylan Davis, and now he's almost applying a borderline chokehold, but I know our official will make sure that he doesn't abuse the rules. As right in the center of the ring, a big headbutt to the back of Dylan Davis, and if Kilgrave keeps Dylan Davis away from the ropes, he can't get any break from the action. Davis whipped in and a powerful clothesline again. Kilgrave using all of his weight against Dylan Davis, and now he whips him post to post again with another powerful clothesline. Again, the throat of Dylan Davis taking all kinds of damage. A big sidewalk slam. Another pinfall attempt here, second of the match, and it's a 2 count. And the fans appreciating the tenacity of Dynamite Dylan Davis. And again, Kilgrave not smart to leave that leg unhooked, and perhaps the only door that's being left unopened, or left open, I should say, for Dylan Davis. And again, going back to work on the neck of Dynamite Dylan Davis is Kilgrave. We have some great ECPW action for you this hour. Later on in the program, we're going to see the Celtic Roots Championship defended. Always exciting when the goal is on the line. Crowd's fired up here in North Sydney as Kilgrave going to work on Dylan Davis, who finds himself in a precarious position, and again, right in the center of that ring where he's not positioned to get any rope breaks. Now he's slamming his foot to the canvas, and the crowd getting on their feet here, trying to cheer Dylan Davis on. Series of elbows to the gut of Kilgrave. Third time's the charm to break. And can Dylan Davis get some momentum going here? Duck of a clothesline, center of the ring, but once again he's caught in the powerful arms of Kilgrave. And a follow-away slam, and boy, you can feel the impact of that one right up here in the broadcast area. And this is not a place that Dynamite Dylan Davis wants to be. Belly first, and now again working on the neck area, and good work by the official, Jeff James, to administer the count. And Kilgrave had until the count of 5, and he was trying to make full use of that to further abuse Dylan Davis, who finds himself in the corner in a whole heap of trouble here, as he has not had much offense in this matchup thus far. Whipped into the opposite corner now. Shoulder to the upper body of Kilgrave. And a big kick to the back of the head. Perhaps momentum on his side. Now up to the second rope. Big elbow to the throat of Kilgrave. And I think for the first time in this matchup, Kilgrave has been brought down to the canvas. And again, Dynamite Dylan Davis, so popular with these fans. They're trying to urge him on here. Oh, impressive showing of strength. Scoops up Kilgrave, but he couldn't maintain it. Now Kilgrave looking for a choke slam. Oh, a counter. Dynamite Dylan Davis once again. Fireman's carry takeover attempt. Look at the impressive strength from Dynamite Dylan Davis. Brings the big man down. Pinfall attempt, a 2, and a 3 count. Dynamite Dylan Davis with a very impressive victory here over Kilgrave. Opportunistic, but what about the strength of Dynamite Dylan Davis to lift the big man up? And now celebrating in the crowd with the ECPW fans, pardon me, who are very much behind Dylan Davis. And I have to say, I was questioning the wisdom of going for that second fireman's carry takeover. Was worried perhaps to do some damage to the back of Dylan Davis, but I guess you can never count out the name of St. John's, Newfoundland. It talked about him getting title opportunities in the past, and performances like that, he's likely to work himself into a conversation again for another title opportunity. And we talked about that Celtic Roots Championship, newly established in 2019 and already one of the most coveted prizes in Canadian professional wrestling. And this man, who perhaps a bit hard to deal with in terms of attitude, and trust me, he's become even more insufferable since he has gold around his waist. And props to Sheldon McLean and those working at ECPW. That is a beautiful championship belt. But I think everybody would agree it'd be much prettier around the waist of, well, maybe anybody but Lincoln Steen. However, thus far, he has, by hook or by crook, held on to that championship. And he is going to have his work cut out for him tonight in another title match. His third defense of the ECPW Championship. And we talked about how ECPW will be returning to Reserve Mines in October. Well, that is the scene of the crime where Lincoln Steen won a fatal 4-way match to become Celtic Roots champion. And he is going to look to defend that prize tonight as referee James Ash, the senior official of ECPW, will be given the duties. And no surprise there, ECPW's best being given the responsibility of regulating this championship match. And again, Lincoln Steen will have his work cut out for him, I think, in this one, as he defends his ECPW championship against a very capable opponent, one of the most popular competitors in ECPW, as Lincoln Steen apparently believes James Ash is doubling as a janitor as he's trying to get him to clean up the ring, and this seems to be a recurring thing that Lincoln Steen is doing as of late. And listen to the crowd ovation for Titus. Long, one of the top names in ECPW, and a well-earned championship opportunity for the East Coast Predator. I'm looking forward to this matchup, as these are two long-tenured stars of East Coast Pro Wrestling, but I don't believe we've had the opportunity to see them lock horns that many times, and certainly not in a match of this magnitude with the championship belt on the line. As Lincoln Steen perhaps getting a bit antsy, waiting for his challenger to come out to the ring. But here he is! Titus, all fired up here, as he has an opportunity to capture the Celtic Roots title. And this may be the toughest challenge that Lincoln Steen has faced. Now, it's interesting, you may recall in Inverness back in July, there was a battle royal to determine the #1 contender for the ECPW Heavyweight Championship. And Titus was actually the last man eliminated in that battle royal, so perhaps fitting that he himself gets a title opportunity. And he has been unsuccessful in his attempts in the past to capture the ECPW Heavyweight Championship, and I don't think that Titus views this as a step down whatsoever. We talked about it. Celtic Roots title, already a very prestigious prize in its own right. And I'm looking forward to a tremendous matchup here. And no doubt, Titus will be the one that has the support of those fans here at the Cape Breton Farmers Exhibition, a great event that's held every year in August here in North Sydney, and we have a tremendous crowd on hand. It's a wonderful event here, the exhibition, and certainly adding professional wrestling to the mix. Now one of the prime attractions of the Farmers Exhibition each year. Again, this is Patrick McNeil here with you on Seaside Communications. This is the main event here on ECPW on Seaside Communications. It is a Celtic Roots Championship match. James Ash, senior official, will call this one down the middle as the champion Lincoln Steen of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, will defend against Titus, who is, of course, from right here in the Maritimes, Moncton, New Brunswick. And as I predicted earlier, Titus wins the popularity contest with the fans, but the contest between the ropes for the ECPW title is the one that he's looking to win. And it never fails. Lincoln Steen always seems to want approval and doesn't seem to really get it from the ECPW fans, but I suppose he can settle for being the Celtic Roots champion. Again, this is your main event here, ECPW on Seaside Communications. Great job by the referee, James Ash, holding up the beautiful Celtic Roots Championship belt. John Patterson, the ring announcer, will store that belt away to be handed off to whoever is the champion at the end of this match. And of course, Lincoln Steen, as the champion, has champion's advantage, which means Titus must pin or submit Lincoln Steen. And don't think that Lincoln Steen is necessarily above either being counted out or getting disqualified to retain that championship, as he resorted to some trickery to earn a disqualification victory the last time he defended that title belt. So we'll see what this match has in store for us here. Always great to see ECPW action in North Sydney. As I said, traditional heart of wrestling in Cape Breton, and a great crowd here to watch this title match. Big fight feel, I guess you can say, between two of the premier names in this company. And you can hear the fans putting their support behind Titus. And Lincoln Steen perhaps has learned to shake off the disapproval of the ECPW faithful, as it were. Collar and elbow tie up to start this matchup, and a fairly even test of strength in the middle of the ring. And finally, Titus able to back Lincoln Steen up into the corner. And Titus respecting the authority of James Ash. Good clean break in the corner. And Lincoln Steen will take his time engaging in the action once more. And he is accusing Titus of pulling the hair of Lincoln Steen. And while I don't think I saw such a thing, I will say that the two men in this match, perhaps the two most beautiful heads of hair in ECPW, and both of them certainly do have long manes that you could pull as a weapon, but we know that that is not Titus's game. He wants to win this match fair and square. And Titus not having any of these accusations, and now the crowd getting out of the skin of Lincoln Steen. And Lincoln Steen not enjoying the verbal abuse he's receiving, but he does bring it upon himself, you'd have to say. And it'll be part of the job of James Ash here to not only enforce the rules, but also to make sure that Lincoln Steen is not busy engaging with the fans. We want to see a match in the middle of the ring. These are two great wrestlers, and we want to see them get it on and determine who the better man is. Titus backed into a corner. It's almost like we're starting it from square one again. Titus was able to establish the first test of strength. And you would have to say Lincoln Steen probably giving up a little bit of power in this match. But he has proven to be a more than capable competitor throughout his years in ECPW and other companies he's wrestled in that time period. Powerful headlock from Titus there in the middle of the ring and really kind of grind on the head of Lincoln Steen, wear down his opponent. That's a good strategy in the early stages of this match. Now whipped into the ropes, and a spinning clothesline is countered with a powerful shoulder block. And once again, Lincoln Steen's go-to maneuver is to go outside the ring because Titus has him rattled here in the early going of this matchup. And James Ash, the official, keeping Titus at bay. And he'll commence the count. And again, reminder that the champion's advantage, as it were, resides with Lincoln Steen. So a count out will not do Titus any good. And he's very well aware of that. If this count goes any deeper, I'm sure that Titus will be out to get James Ash and to get Lincoln Steen back into the ring. And if there's one thing Lincoln Steen is good at, it's getting these fans worked up. And as I mentioned, you knew Titus was going to try to bring Lincoln Steen back into the ring, and I guess you could say he's doing it the hard way. He's gripping the back of his head, but a role reversal here as Lincoln Steen perhaps luring Titus in and throwing his weight and his neck specifically off the top rope. And now for the first time in this matchup, Lincoln Steen has assumed control with a powerful axe handle to the back, and now kicks and punches as Titus is backed up into the corner. And James Ash telling Steen to back away as he wants this match to be contested in the center of the ring. Powerful forearm there to the upper body of Titus, who now finds himself against the ropes. As Lincoln Steen has taken something out of his tights, and now right into the throat of Titus. And referee James Ash was momentarily distracted from the action. And now Lincoln Steen putting all the weight of his boot on Titus. And we talked about it earlier. He is not above bending the rules to get an advantage. And now a punch right to the midsection of Titus. As Lincoln Steen going to work on the solar plexus area of the challenger. Snapmare takeover, and now Lincoln Steen using his weight for a headlock in the middle of the ring, trying to wear down the bigger competitor of the two in this matchup, but Titus has found himself not where he wants to be in the middle of the ring, down courtesy of Lincoln Steen. Again, this is our main event here on ECPW on Seaside Communications. Celtic Roots Championship on the line. Lincoln Steen defending against Titus. Now Titus, series of elbows. Can he break the hold? Oh, looked like the third time was the charm, but it was not. As Lincoln Steen pulling the hair of Titus, and he's being admonished by the official. And James Ash likely to give some leniency here, as much as he doesn't enjoy Lincoln Steen breaking the rules. He also knows these fans want to see a conclusive outcome, and he also doesn't want to deny Titus an opportunity to capture the Celtic Roots Championship. So as much as he doesn't like the rule bending of Lincoln Steen, probably has no choice but to allow some of it to go in an effort to allow Titus a fair opportunity to win that coveted championship. But now Titus finds himself the recipient of some boots to the midsection. And now perhaps the trademark vertical suplex of Lincoln Steen. This is his specialty. And he is trying to pull Titus high above his head, but Titus would be one of the bigger competitors. No, pinfall attempt for Titus, 1 and a 2. And a roll-up almost succeeds in crowning a new Celtic Roots champion. But Lincoln Steen able to get out of the cover just in the nick of time. I said Lincoln Steen, that's one of his trademark maneuvers, is that vertical suplex. And you see a lot of competitors that have that in their repertoire, but what makes it especially devastating when Lincoln Steen does it is he can hold his opponent up there for 5, 6, as many as 10 seconds. All the blood rushing to the head. But Lincoln Steen, not used to facing a competitor the size of Titus, would be a bit tougher to hold up for that length of time. And again, going to the tights to gain an advantage here. As coming out of the corner is Titus trying to rally with some big elbows. Lincoln Steen now whipped from post to post. Titus coming in with some speed, duck and thrown over, but Titus stays with it. Ducks a punch and delivers one of his own from the outside of the ring. Now Titus using his weight to the solar plexus of Lincoln Steen. Sunset flip attempt, easy for me to say. Has him pulled over. 1 and a 2 count. Probably 2.5. Lincoln Steen, the champion, reeling, but he rallies with a clothesline of his own. Great sequence. Tough to keep up with all the action here between these two great superstars. As Lincoln Steen being pushed to the brink here by the East Coast Predator. And once again, resorting to chicanery. And the referee, James Ash, not able to keep all of these tactics at bay. And this is one thing Lincoln Steen has become a master at, is bending the rules. Now into a trademark front face lock and putting all of his weight. You'll notice the body positioning of Titus, his face almost pushed to the mat, as Lincoln Steen putting all of his weight on the head of Titus. And if Titus is not careful, he could find himself counted out. As you'll see James Ash, he'll check the arm, and if the arm goes 3 times, then it'll be curtains for the challenger, and that's 1. And that's 2, and Titus is in big trouble here. And the arm, will it go down a 3rd time? No! It's kept up! And Titus, he's not going to give up this championship challenge that easily. And now you can hear the fans try to rally Titus here. Coming back to his feet. Breaks out of the hold. A powerful series of blows to the head of Lincoln Steen. Ducks one of Steen's punches and another powerful shot. Lincoln Steen finds himself on the defensive now. Whip to the other rope. And a powerful forearm from Titus. Titus, a clothesline right into the corner using all of his weight. Whip, pillar to post, reversal. Titus now in the corner. Titus, a huge boot. Lincoln Steen's been rocked to the canvas. Pinfall attempt. Leg is hooked. 1 and 2. Oh, and almost a 3 count. So close. As Titus can only put his hand in his face and wonder how close he was to that Celtic Roots Championship. And now Lincoln Steen has been caught in the act with that foreign object. As Lincoln Steen with a kick to the nether regions of Titus. Pinfall attempt, a 2 and a 3 count, and foot on the ropes for good measure. And once again, as he seems to do in all of his title defenses, Lincoln Steen, by hook or by crook, cheating to defend his Celtic Roots Championship. And it's a shame when you see a tremendous matchup of that caliber decided in that kind of a fashion. But once again, Lincoln Steen, by hook or by crook, finds a way to keep the Celtic Roots title around his waist. And that is going to wrap up another great episode of East Coast Pro Wrestling here on Seaside Communications. We will see you next time on ECPW.